In the past few months, the city has reached a huge 150% population growth due to the new condos that were introduced near Tidal Grove Park, as well as more offerings of housing variety. As the city continues to grow, Mayor Abalone hopes to expand on the city's frameworks. With new families bringing their school aged children to the city, Mayor Abalone has found a few weak spots in the current lack of variety for transportation. She'd like to work on expanding to the south with the opportunity for a new local college in mind, but is unsure whether or not the current infrastructure can handle it. She also acknowledges that all current freight traffic either comes through McCormick Industrial Park to Musami or Starford, or has to come through downtown Oddlando via the South Bridge, producing unnecessary throttling through the area. While this is a known issue, the city is having difficulty getting funding to complete this project, so it will be pushed off until later on. Hello, and welcome to episode 6 of Oddlando, a Floridian beach town in City Skylines 2. My name is Otter, and I myself live in Central Florida, so this build is vaguely based on inspiration from areas, neighborhoods, and things I've seen in my time living here. Currently, we're working in an area based roughly on Daytona Beach. In recent episodes, we've been working on establishing the basic and basic plus requirements for a successful city, while also teaching you new ways to design your own. So I wanted a way for bus traffic to flow efficiently in and out of a new hub area while causing minimal disruption to regular traffic. I decided this hidden slip lane method under the bridge was going to be probably my best option, and looking at it after being done makes me happy because honestly, it was the perfect choice. It really worked out the best of any option, and honestly, it kind of looks good as well. I started off with this idea of using pedestrian roads as little pillar styled stops, but honestly, the pedestrian roads only seem to work in one direction, so you have to kind of orient them in a very specific way, or you end up with these weird vehicle behaviors. I like predictability, and so this just wasn't going to work for me. That's obviously annoying, and it sucks having to change a plan halfway through. But honestly, this wasn't even my biggest complaint. The main issue I had was that the pedestrian roads are just bulky and honestly a bit of an eyesore. I can see how it might be mistaken by regular traffic as a regular road as well. So there's just a couple factors that didn't really work out, so I just cleared it and tried something new. Instead of the pillar style roads I had done before, I wanted to try these isolated pod style sections. This gives me more direct control over vehicle overlap and also allows a coherent design pattern if I decided to add more modules to this area later on. Also, quick editor's note, if you see the hump in the road on the left hand side, no you don't. Pretend you don't see it. I didn't notice it till way later in the video, and so it's just going to randomly disappear at some point in the video, and for now, just pretend it doesn't exist. These BRT roads are not only a standard road size, but also come in this really aesthetically pleasing red color, which also has an accidental bonus effect of making the project stand out from its environment. That's ideal to me because I want this project to be a very central piece of our city, hence the central placement right next to our main outside connection. This also will, hopefully, assuming the game decides to function as it should limit this area specifically only to be accessible by both buses and taxis, with occasional service vehicles like police, fire, trash, all that stuff. With the bus depot placed, we're now able to obviously unlock buses, and I'm going to remove all of the crosswalks except those on the very outside edges of the hub, mostly to centralize crossing points only to the essential areas, also to clean up the aesthetic of the bus park. I ended up deciding to trim this down to only 3 pods instead of the 5 that were built previously, with a current 6 total stops. The great thing about this layout, though, is that upgrading all the way to a total of 16 stops, for example, takes only a matter of seconds and a few $1,000s maybe for new covered stands. With plans to also build a new neighborhood in this area, I also added a collector road, which would help serve as a marker for me later. Next, to provide pedestrians with alternative, quicker routes in between the stops, I added these little slip lane type sidewalks in between the actual pods. This means pedestrians can, for example, walk from the furthest right to furthest left stop while only having to utilize a total of 2 crosswalks, instead, potentially, of having to use 4 or 5, which also means movement for both buses and pedestrians can be more efficient. Using this marker road as a waypoint, I decided to give a one-way option for the BRT road, specifically for buses to be able to leave this area without clogging up the main roads too much. I didn't want them to cause any sort of congestion among the quote-unquote regular traffic, and I did later come in and change this specific one-way to left turn only, just to clear it as quickly as possible. Buses wanting to turn right could instead use this local road to go down and turn left or right onto Ocean Avenue directly. The next obvious thing we need to do is lay the actual bus routes. So the first thing I'm going to do is lay out what's going to circle the basis of our current city limits, including Council Square. We've built a new placeholder street next to Council Square to account for a development later on. This route will also include a stop at the beach, since I plan on finding ways to make this park more usable and attractive to residents in the future. Also, with the new beachside row housing we've added from the last episode, this bus route may serve as crucial transportation for these residents, allowing them less reliance on auto transportation. Next, I'm going to add connection routes to our neighboring cities. Starford, a small town to our north, and Musami, which is another Florida-inspired build being worked on by our friend Canadian Moose. If you're interested in checking out his videos, he'll be tagged in the description. Finally, I'm also going to quickly make a route that goes in the opposite direction. This route will have fewer buses and only run at night. I technically did this in the middle of the next part of this video, but I moved it here for continuity. For the next part of the video, I wanted to expand our city's footprint, using the new bus hub as groundwork for expansion. Unlike the original neighborhoods in Oddlando, this neighborhood was going to be a bit more fluid, with less rules of constraint and a bit less planned as well. I knew I wanted an entrance near the high school, and we had already made the marker road at the east side of the bus hub, so meeting somewhere in between those two would lay good bones for direction. Basically, I wanted this to feel more like a subdivisional style neighborhood than the isolated pockets or kidneys, as I referred to the previously built neighborhoods. Instead, this type of neighborhood is more common in the US because it allows massive amounts of expandable suburban sprawl while also being quote unquote modular in some way and self spaced at the speed of the developer. Since this neighborhood's going to be more like a separated community overall, I also wanted to provide a fair bit of combined space through small commercial and office areas. I also want to add a singular block of medium density housing through subsidized low rent apartments. With these low rent options being so close to the transport hub, I'm hoping to give a leg up to those who may be facing financial hardship and still allow them the possibility of visiting their doctors, their favorite parks, surrounding cities, anything else we add later on. This also inspired my desire to add a large park to fill in an adjacent block to the apartments. This is going to be just a small park asset with expanded surfaces and a bit more walking path connections. We'll come back to the specific area for detailing in a later episode, but for now, I think this does pretty much what I need it to. Since we added a large beach park in the previous episode and now another decently sized park in this episode, I felt it was right to add in a park maintenance department in order to keep those properties cleaned and serviced properly. I quickly threw this building in next to the high school, but later in the series, I've been debating on making a large government office campus to contain multiple different types of these service buildings. If that's something you'd enjoy watching, let me know in the comments. Lastly, for this section, since this community is highly focused on accessibility, I wanted to put a sprawling network of sidewalks. That way, residents from the furthest corner of the community can still reasonably reach any local business or the transport hub as needed. Having mentioned it, I also decided to clean up the transport hub by removing any unnecessary crosswalks and adding some where they needed to be. Next, I noticed there was starting to be quite a bit of congestion here at this intersection, and I realized that I needed to make a few quick key changes to the little area. As it stands now, the exit to the bus hub is technically an unmanaged 5-point intersection, which is a little too chaotic for the fact that it's supposed to be free flowing and not backed up continuously. So this intersection is clearly ruining that. A quick roundabout, some lane connections, that should be ironed out. I wanted to take a quick step back and just double check to make sure nothing crazy was going on. And as you can see from this red bus turning from the first capsule on the right into the second one and then again into the third one, there's clearly a little bit of wonkiness just because of the way that AI does the path making. So I'm just going to super quickly clean up these routes and make sure that they specifically stay on only the actual bus road. I decided to let the game run for a bit, and very clearly this road is a huge problem, all the way down to the main arterial. Traffic is backing up pretty bad coming off the bridge, as well as onto the arterial itself. So I quickly threw in an exclusive left turn lane, but it didn't fix the issue. I think the issue was light timing as well as turn connections, and so this was going to be kind of a complex issue to fix. I decided to upgrade the road facing the bridge as well to an exclusive left, did a bit of lane management, and kind of to dial in what I needed, and let the simulation run again for a few minutes. With these changes made, you can see that traffic is going to kind of pace itself out one little wave at a time. This red light cycle does kind of match up, and so it looks really cool and also functions really well. I made some quick adjustments and also adjusted the node spacing on this one-way BRT road because it was causing weird jankiness when the cars were turning. Easy fix, so I just went ahead and made it. For the final segment of the video, I wanted to finish up decorating this transport hub area now that the traffic issues were resolved. I had debated making this an exclusive Patreon episode, but honestly, I don't have the extra time this week to edit and narrate an additional episode, so I'm just going to put some music over the video while I do the decorating. Next week, however, I will be making a full-length video as well as a short exclusive behind-the-scenes video for the Patreon. For now, enjoy. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and let me know what you thought of the episode. Also, subscribe if you'd like to see more of my videos in the future. I'm on the grind for 500 subscribers, and every new person in the community is a huge blessing. Also, don't forget to turn on the bell for notifications. I post a new YouTube video every week, and if you're interested in behind-the-scenes content or early access videos, check out the Patreon in the description of the video for extra content that doesn't make it into the videos. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.